Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the GBYWN Australia podcast. Your host, as usual, Aston Crude. And here today I have a very, very special guest with me. Somebody that I've been wanting to interview for some time. He's outspoken, he's controversial, he's a former WZWA Backyard Champion, GBYWN World Hardcore Champion, and of course the current reigning and defending WZWA Heavyweight Champion. I'm talking to the one and only Hardcore God, Antillicus.
Hey Carl, how are you doing?
Yeah, good mate, good to have you here.
Good to be here.
Good. It's been a long time coming. We've been wanting to do this interview for some time. And as per usual with every podcast I do, the first question always is, how did you get into wrestling?
Well, when I was still living in England, I remember when my uncle Fred was still with us, he used to be a massive wrestling mark, you know. Yep. He used to love it all. And I remember sitting in his bedroom watching, what was it, Goldust versus Rowdy Roddy Piper in
WrestleMania
a street fight or something. Yeah. And after that, I just loved it. I would always watch it, you know, whenever it was on, whenever I got a chance. And then that was it. I was pretty much hooked.
Sweet. Who were your favourite wrestlers as you were growing up?
I've always liked Shawn Michaels and DX, you know, just because they were stupid. I was a stupid kid. The humour, it appealed to me. And that love for Shawn Michaels never ended, really. It was a really sad moment when I saw him leave. Yeah, well, dude, I mean, you know, you got into wrestling quite a young age there. If you're watching Goldust versus Roddy Piper, I think that's before I was actually a wrestling fan. If it was live, this was a tape from the video store. I think it was like a VCR or something.
No, it must have been then, because I was going to say, shit, you might have been about 3 or something. Okay, cool. So, you know, as you're a wrestling fan, do you have friends at school that also like it? Do you muck around in the lounge room of someone's house, or, you know, do a bit of lounge room wrestling or a little bit of backyard wrestling even before you meet anyone from EBW or anything like that?
Well, when I was, again, still in England, I used to, you know, wrestle on trampolines and bouncy castles and stuff with my step-cousin. We used to fight all the time, serious and wrestling, and we both loved it. Then came to Australia, and wrestling wasn't that big. Of course. But I met Ty Coleman, Acid.
Oh, really?
And he loved WWE at that time. So whenever I was around, we'd watch, you know, SmackDown, Raw, and all that, and we'd love it. And I remember actually, in my primary school, we had an after-school care called Arush. Yeah. And it had this little square sand pit. And I'd always get me, my little brother, this little kid called Noah, and Ty would sometimes jump the gate because he wasn't actually in the thing, and we'd just wrestle on this sand pit. And that was awesome. And then that stayed, that friendship. He was the only really person who I knew who liked wrestling. And then I'm shocked because he didn't go to my school. Yeah. And everyone who went to my high school after that, they all hated it and they all gave me shit for wrestling. And I used to get bullied a fair bit. And then
we all did, man.
And then one time I saw Jack's one of Jack's wrestling videos with Chris and Luke on the trampoline, and I gave him a message about it, and that's how I met Jack. Yeah.
So was it like through YouTube you messaged him? Or?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because then I was getting massively bullied for my love of wrestling, and I saw Jack, and I messaged him. I'm like, dude, I've got mad respect for you because all of his posts he was getting bullied, he was getting shit for his posts, and he still would post it without hesitating. And I was like, I have so much respect for that. Like,
yeah, you're proud of it, but you still want to show that you love it because you do. You know, and it's unfair that people are such fucking stuck-up cunts, you know. They only act that way because they're jealous that they can't fucking go out there and be vulnerable enough to, you know, pretend to fight someone in a backyard setting, you know.
Exactly.
People are just pussies, and, you know, I always get offended when I hear about people getting bullied so harshly, So you decided maybe to make some new friends that liked wrestling, so you didn't have to really hang around the kind of people that were so narrow-minded to be like that towards you?
Definitely, because I had no idea where Jack was located, you know. I didn't know where they did that. Okay. So I was really stoked when I was talking to him, and he said he was just a mole loot just around the corner from my house. And I was like, you know, would there be any chance I could come around and like watch or something? Yeah. And he's like, yeah, of course. And then I went round, the first time I went round, Chris wasn't there. It was just Luke and Jack. You know? Okay. Meeting Luke for the first time was fucking hilarious. You know, this big head, big ears, you know, small body, little scrawny kid, and then there's Jack, who's still...
So he was ugly then as he is now?
Oh, both of them were still just as ugly as they
are
now.
Okay.
Yeah. And I remember they had a little match on the trampoline, and then Jack offered me if I wanted to get and
have a match
and have a shot, and I was sick. I was so stoked, and then again I was also really nervous. So because of that nerves, Jack was like, "All right, we'll just have a handicap against Luke."
Oh, okay.
So we just beat the shit out of Luke for like 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay.
And that was it. I was hooked. I wanted to come back. I was always asking when the next event was, and then I met Chris.
So was that an actual event? Was it like?
Oh no!
Just
Yeah, that was just a random little day, and we'd always have more practice days and events because we'd love it all the time. That's all we wanted to do was just go and wrestle. Even if it wasn't actually on camera, we'd still just go and do it. And sometimes events would just happen without even organising. We'd all go around, we'd be practicing, then we'd have cool ideas for a match coming or something, and we'd be like, let's just film an event now.
Yeah.
Because why not, you know? There's only 4 of us. We'll put on a mask, we'll have 8 characters, you know? We'll do that kind of shit.
Good idea.
And it'd be awesome, and it was awesome. I loved to be a part of it. And I remember Jack and Luke, after that first little handicap match, and they said that I was a natural. Because I was really happy because it was this one move I did. I just pulled you know, Kofi Kingston's SOS.
Yeah.
I just did that out of nowhere to Luke. I just winged it. I was like, fuck it, I love that move. I'll just try and do it on Luke, and I did it. And they were like, holy shit,
cool.
Holy shit, he can actually do stuff. And then ever since then, I just wanted to get better and better. You know, I met Chris. We started having events, and it was awesome.
Excellent. Yeah, I kind of always likened you to like a Mike Del Cano, just straight away. Kind of got it immediately and had that natural ability. So it's really interesting to find out that that's what they thought of you back then. I
used to watch a whole lot of how to do this move and how to do that move a lot and stuff, so I would try and get better on the trampoline, but you know, you can't really pull off the same kind of moves in a ring that you would on the trampoline, so it only helped a little bit. But then after that, I just watched more and more wrestling. I really focused on how they did this stuff, and I just went and committed, and it happened to be good.
And this was EBW, Elite Backyard Wrestling.
Yeah.
What are your fondest memories of your time? I don't know, was it a short time in EBW? What are your fondest memories of that time period?
It was a short time, but it felt like forever, you know. And then they wanted me to be the hardcore champion, which is I thought was awesome. Just because first match I had with Chris. Oh, actually, first another bit of backstory.
Yeah.
The way we do matches, we wouldn't actually plan who would win. We would just be like, who was the best? Yeah, pretty much. Who would give up first? And you know, Chris is a stubborn character.
Of course.
And back then I was too. And we had this hardcore match, and it must have went for like, you know, half an hour or something. This is us doing stupid shit with like plastic trays and bodyboards and all this going all around the place. But I remember when I was doing that first match with Chris, and Luke and Jack kept saying stuff like match of the year and all that, just because we were doing stupid shit. Like, I remember Jack losing his shit completely, just because I gave Chris, you know, an attitude adjustment onto a bodyboard on the outside, and they were like, oh my god, you know, so extreme. And then that match was actually for the hardcore champion, because Chris was hardcore champion, and I just didn't give in. I was like, fuck you, Chris. You know, I'm winning this. And then it ended up like ending. It was the worst ending ever. I had him in like a figure 4 neck lock with my legs. Like his leg, his head was in between my legs. I was just squeezing his neck. Like, come on, God, I'm not letting out. Just tap. And ends up winning. And then they actually liked me as the champion. And it was awesome.
Oh, cool, man. Do you remember much about why EBW became WZWA?
Yeah, I do. Because we were in EBW, and then we watched ICWS, because I think Jack was in touch with Chris or something. And we were watching them, and we were like, you know, it's in Bassendean, it's quite a while away, and we're just trampoline wrestlers. Yeah. And then Jack got in contact, and everyone hated us because we were just trampoline wrestlers. You know, all we got was just negative comments. But Chris had a bit of faith in us. He was like, come down, you know.
Well, like Tim and Lowe were involved in the early part of WZWA.
Oh, right? Yeah, that's right. I caught that. They ended up coming down and having a go, but yeah. That was awesome. That's how I actually became friends with Lowe, because of that. We clicked instantly. Really? Yeah, we just became best friends like that. As soon as I saw him, started talking. First, he thought I was a fuckhead because I had a little bit of an afro, you know. Spoke like a dickhead, liked weird things that he didn't like, but then our humour clicked after a while.
I didn't like Johnny V when I first met him, and then we became best friends.
Yeah, and you know, still to this day I love Lowe. We're still best friends, and he doesn't even wrestle anymore. Yeah. But that happened. We got in contact with ICWS. You guys gave us an opportunity to come down. and try and show you what we got.
A little bit ahead here on the timeline, my friend. The ICWS story you're going into now. I wanted to stay in the trampoline section of WZWA. Right. But I was just wondering how the WZWA was formed. Was it formed before you went to ICWS?
Oh, no. We just had EBW, and that was it. And then we went to ICWS.
Okay, so that's what it was. Okay.
And it was after that
you decided to...
It was actually Chris that came up with the name. Chris came up with World Champion Wrestling Alliance, and then...
So the trampoline era of WZWA, I think it was Hard Time was the first show. You had Ground Zero, a couple of other shows. You were in a tag team with Acid.
Yeah, Reality Trip.
What was it like teaming with Acid back then? And do you know why he left so, just before you guys got the ring and all that? Do you know why he lost interest at the time? Was he getting bullied too?
No, he wasn't. Ty, to be honest, Ty was normally the bully to people. Ty was he's a bit of an asshole. I mean, I love Ty. He's a cool guy, but he wasn't the nicest bloke on the schoolyard. But teaming with Ty was awesome because we were best friends and we loved wrestling for so long, and we'd always talked about how cool it would be to be a team, in wrestling, and what kind of moves we'd do, and just that kind of stuff. So being able to actually wrestle with Ty, be like, it's kind of like a little dream come true here. Yeah. And that was awesome. But
and you're the original tag team champions.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think Ty left. To be honestly, I think he left because he was probably a bit scared of the ring, and he probably didn't think he had to
get too serious.
Yeah. And he didn't want to be there because I think he was scared of getting bullied because of that. I think that he didn't want to get bullied. He wanted to be the bullier.
Yeah. So gotcha. I know that there's a lot of those backyard wrestlers over the years. When things start to seem like they're getting serious and this is becoming a bigger deal, then they bail. Like I remember when I joined ICWS, and a lot of older guys like Ice and Chaos were joining. All of a sudden, guys like Big Mac. Some of the original ICWS guys, they just started to drop off, Wicked Nick James and all that. So I've certainly witnessed that many a times. But you guys obviously, yes, you get in touch with ICWS. What are your first impressions when you do enter the Z Arena?
I was so terrified. I remember we had you guys had that entrance with the big black bit of tarp hanging over. I know. I just didn't want to walk through that tarp at first to meet you guys because I knew you all had negative opinions on us because you were trampoline wrestlers.
I never said anything.
Oh well, that's all we heard was negative. That's all I heard anyway was just negative things, especially like Knuckles. I think Mitch had a fair bit to say. I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it was stupid, right? But I thought it meant everything.
It
I was like,
really dumb.
These guys are more than trampoline wrestlers. These guys are fucking awesome. I want to make a good impression to these guys. And I hated that I was known as just the dickhead with the afro. That made me so angry. And
you must have dealt that a lot in your life.
Huh?
Just your hair.
Fucking, it's so bad. It's so bad. So everyone knows you by my hair. Well, it's all right now.
Girls get the girls, man.
Yeah, exactly.
So you guys went out there, had a fucking cracking match.
Yeah,
and this is at Twisted Metal. This is the biggest show of the year, and you guys are having your debut there. So, man, after the match, you got a lot of props for that one.
And it was like everything just flipped. After only hearing negative things, to having people go out of their way to come up to me and say, dude, that was awesome. You've surprised the absolute shit out of all of us. And that made me feel so good. And I think I thrived off that. I really liked hearing that I was good off a trampoline. I was like, holy shit, I could be like one of these guys on a base. It's serious. That was like...
Was it good to transition from a trampoline to a base?
Oh, it was so much better. It was so much better. Like, it just felt so much more real. Like, when you body slam someone and they bounce back up to you, it's like... There's no impact.
You choke slam them, and when they bounce back up from the choke slam, they're on their feet. Yeah. That's how high they've bounced from them. Yeah.
So it just felt really awesome being on the base. It was like I was an actual wrestler at that time. I'm like, I'm not bouncing, I'm hitting it, and then I got to get back up. Yeah. It was awesome.
I remember sitting down with you guys watching the match back and trying to give you guys a couple of pointers. I'm sure you guys had no idea who this older dude was.
No clue.
But yeah, I thought you guys were really good, and it was an exciting time in WZWA because the roster was packed, and we thought, now we've got some more guys coming in with some guys leaving soon, so that maybe we'd have a great 2013 as 2012 came to an end. So WZWA is getting a ring. Could you believe it?
No, I was so surprised because when Jack was talking about getting rid of the trampoline, all we had in mind, like our highest expectation was the base. We just wanted the base in our backyard. Jack was talking about all these tires and stuff, and then I remember one day because we had a little Facebook group chat.
Yeah.
Jack just messaged us like, so I just talked to my dad about making a base, and he said, why don't we just make a ring? And that was like, no way.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit. So we're getting an actual wrestling ring. I'm going to be an actual wrestler.
Yeah.
Oh, that was awesome. And then hearing that you guys want to be a part of it as well, that was like,
as soon as
like,
we heard
wow.
about the ring, we're like, oh, well, yeah, that would be fucking awesome fun. Like, that's the dream of every backyard wrestler, is to actually have a ring to wrestle in and do it your own way and all that. So yeah, it was amazing to us.
And it's still crazy, like, because the old trampoline ring is still up there.
Oh, it's been taken down now.
Oh, has it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's been taken apart. Those posts are going to be used to elevate the height of the ropes.
Oh, okay. I wasn't quite sure how they were going to do that, but that makes a lot of sense. Well, it was awesome seeing them next to each other. It's like there's two completely different eras of like right next to each other. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah. So around this time, as the ring is getting made and it's almost ready, what were all the arguments about with Rex and Jack back then, and what was the landscape like within WZWA before the influx of the ICWS guys?
I think because back then, Jack was, he was the little vampire that he was. He stayed inside on his laptop bedroom, in his room in the dark, all of the time. And Chris was always outside of Noel putting together the ring. Unfortunately, I had a fractured ankle during the entire period that the ring was getting built, so I was completely and utterly useless. But Chris, I think Chris had the most impact on building the ring. Jack was just a lazy,
SOB.
Yeah,
And there were a lot of arguments between them two.
There's a whole lot of arguments between them because Chris was over it. He was like, you gotta put effort in, Noel's doing all this. And Chris was really serious. And I think Chris was annoyed Jack wasn't taking it as seriously as he was.
Yeah.
And I think that's what all the arguments were about. And then
just got worse and worse.
It just got worse and
worse. Got to a point where Chris was actually quitting. And so then I come along and I say to Jack, if you guys are having this much trouble already and you haven't even had a show with the ring yet, why don't you have me in charge? I'm older, I can put forth good ideas, I've done this before. For whatever reason, Jack said yes. I think at first it was going to be me and Jack working together, but soon enough I kind of got more and more power away from Jack because I kept finding that when I would tell him my ideas, all of a sudden Luke knew. And all of a sudden other people knew, and I had to start not telling Jack many things because, the ideas that I was coming up with were getting out, and I had to kind of nip that in the bud before it got to be a problem. But what did you think of, all of a sudden this guy that you don't know is now in charge of the Fed?
Honestly, I didn't really think that much of it. Like, I wasn't, disappointed that it was someone I didn't know. But, I was also a bit iffy about it, because, this guy's just coming in taking charge. I don't know him. I don't know if he's got good ideas. Yeah. Then again, back at that time, I thought I was having the best ideas in my head too, so I was like, maybe he won't be as good as we could be. Yeah. But, I was massively mistaken.
I think they all were in the end. There was a lot of growing pains when I came in and tried to gain everyone's trust, and, it didn't help when, people like DJ and Eli were getting in people's ears, and all that, so that wasn't helping at all because they were doing the pro wrestling, so of course everyone's going to listen to them and all that. But I think the first person I really took to was you, and I had a good idea of what I wanted to do with you as a character, and I think maybe that might have looked like Jacob sucking up to Carl, or Jacob's Carl's boy.
That really pissed me off though, because I genuinely just loved your ideas. What you had in mind for me was what I had in mind for me, and I was like, we just connected on that idea instantly. And then it was because of that, and because of how enthusiastic I was about your ideas to me, that especially Chris gave me the most shit for sucking the dick. Jacob's successful because he's sucking Carl's dick. It's like, no, successful because I'm being cooperative, I'm being good to work with,
listening
and
to
I'm
my
pulling it off.
ideas and going out there, putting your own spin on it, and doing a good job with it. So the first show with the ring is WZWA Frostbite. I'm not there, unfortunately. I'm having some problems at the time, but I do make the next show. But you become the first backyard champion. I pitch you the idea of what the backyard championship's all about. You're going to be the first champion. And through all this, I'm sure there is more problems with the WZWA guys because they're suddenly being pushed down the card because we've got ICWS guys coming in who, to be honest, deserve a bit of a main event slot ahead of you guys. I know that probably wouldn't have been looked at too fondly, but you were my pet project out of the WZWA guys at first, and you became the first backyard champion, defeating Luke Monet and Rex in a triple threat elimination match. How did it feel to become the backyard champion, and what did you think of the idea of the title?
Just quickly about what we were saying about ICWS getting the main event and stuff. I think another reason why I was said that I was sucking your dick is because I agreed with that as well. Because I understood and I just I just knew that the ICWS guys were better. I knew you guys were more skilled than we were, and I was like, we probably don't really deserve a shot over them. And I understood that, and I accepted that, and I just realized I had to work to get there.
Yeah, and that's the idea, because when you guys would eventually get to those spots, you worked for it, and you got there because you worked hard, and you got ahead of the guys who have been doing it longer because of hard work, and it means more to the person to find success after hard work.
Exactly, and then there was people like Jack and Chris who were just like, oh, we started it, we deserve it.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, no, you started it, but your wrestling doesn't deserve it over these guys just yet. So I was pretty chilled with all that.
Cool.
Yeah, anyway, was the last bit of the question?
The backyard championship, the idea of the title and becoming the first backyard champion.
I thought it was awesome. I was the last to go into EBW.
Yeah.
And I was the first to get a championship out of them, when we got the ring. So I felt so, not dominant, but, I just felt like...
You're ahead of the pack.
I felt like, I'm getting somewhere, and I'm going to be someone bigger someday. This is just the beginning.
Yeah.
And I was so appreciative that, you gave me the chance to win the backyard champion, and... Because that's all I've wanted, to be something big in something.
Yeah.
So I thrived off that, and... I tried harder and harder to make the backyard championship something.
Yeah, and man, you did. You put the belt on the mat, that's for sure. It was one of the most anticipated matches of the show was the Antillicus title defense. Who's it going to be this time? Is he going to get over the line this time? And your win-loss record from day one was amazing. By the time you finally lost your first match, you were 7-1 or something at one stage. It was you were really definitely ahead of the pack, and I guess. For those other originals, they might have been feeling a bit shafted because, Rex was being rude to me, so that meant he loses for 3 months straight,
That actually caused problems with me and Chris as well, because Chris was the main person to say that I sucked dick, and I think he was angry because he thought he deserved as much as I did. And he did,
his know about the whole situation.
Exactly.
He thought he knew everything already, and I was like, no, you're going to be Ice's
protege.
Yeah. You're going to listen to him now. He's in charge of you because I'm having a hard time dealing with you. But anyway, moving on. Big backyard champion. I've already kind of asked this. You were the first of the originals to receive a push. Did you receive any backlash from the other originals? Of course. Going away from that, how was the Midday Rocker conceived?
Oh, I loved Midday Rocker because I remember actually talking to my older brother about it. I was just like, I have this new character. He's called the Midday Rocker. It's someone else's idea, but I think it's awesome. And I was like, what are some theme songs you reckon I could use? And he instantly was just like, Ram It Down, Judas Priest. And I was like, I listened to it, and I'm like, oh, I know exactly what I'm doing with this character. I'm gonna go in there looking like top shit and just get the absolute shit beaten out of me every single time. Just be a total rock star, but just be shit. it was awesome. I loved doing Midday Rocker, but eventually got the mask and the hair, having to deal with having to keep a beanie on to cover my hair. It was just like I couldn't be bothered putting up with that anymore. Yeah, eventually you did want to give it up, even though I didn't want you to just yet, because I really enjoyed having at least one of those masked characters like an El Papacito, where you could use it to help give someone a win or whatever, because the roster wasn't exactly 20 strong like it is these days, but and I think at the time we needed as many masked characters as we could to keep the roster stacked. Road to Ruin,
you wrestle Luke Monet in the main event. You were the chosen one at that point. Great match, and at that point I was looking at you and seeing what can we do to get some character out of this, backyard wrestler, because you were wearing like just the black shirt and the cargo pants, right? So
that actually came from what's that Schwa wrestler, Payne or something?
Oh yeah,
he used to let us know showing cargo pants. I love the cargo pants look, and I'm like, I'm gonna make that me.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be that badass.
Yeah, cool. And I thought, that's a good start, but we need to evolve his character so he looks like a superstar. A lot of times there are a lot of backyard wrestlers that just look like typical backyard wrestlers in Kmart shorts and a t-shirt. I wanted to make you seem like a bigger deal than you were. Well, I wanted to make you seem like a big deal. So I came to you with the idea of being called the hardcore superstar Antillicus. You come out to bang your head. You had the aviator sunglasses, the denim jacket. This was a whole new Antillicus, and you were totally on board from the get-go. You were really excited to do it.
I loved it. I mean, I remember you showing me the jacket and I had the spikes on.
Yeah.
And I was like, the aviator glasses. I'm like, oh. I felt like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Every time I walked out, I was like, I'm a badass now. Like, I'm no longer just a superstar. I'm the hardcore superstar.
Yeah.
I got these spikes, the glasses, the look. Just walk out feeling awesome. And
it was the first night show, I believe, that we had, and I remember standing with you backstage as you're about to make your, re-debut as this, different Antillicus, and it got a good reaction. You were nervous about it. You weren't sure, will this work? Will it? It might not work, but you were still keen. But there was backlash. People said that's not him. It doesn't suit him. Looking back now, how fucking wrong were they?
They were so wrong. That was me. That was my personality, shown as a wrestling character, and I loved that.
It was you exaggerating.
I could show off my rock and roll side. Yeah, exactly.
And so, what did you think of? It was mainly the originals, maybe a couple of other people saying that it doesn't suit him.
Let's give it a shot. It was. I felt awesome. I think it was just because of that happiness that I felt in myself, feeling that way. That I didn't care for what they had to say, and I was like, I'm gonna make you see it. That I'm gonna make this character awesome. Yeah, and I think they were just jealous, to be honest. But talking about your backyard title reign, you got the belt on the map. You went through the likes of Monet, Kilowatt Chaos, Dark Ice, Rex Regan, and Mykonos. So quite a solid run there as backyard champion. How did it feel, having such a solid reign at the beginning of, the real era of WZWA? I mean, I was confident because I was champion, but again, going through the likes of, Kilowatt Chaos, Dark Ice, and Mykonos, I was so nervous because, SBWS are known for being hardcore, and the backyard was pretty much our hardcore championship.
Yeah.
So I was like, these guys are going to just murder me now, I have no chance of making this match.
It was your chance to cement your place, that you're on the same level as these guys.
And it was even worse for Mitch, that nervous feeling, because he wasn't a hardcore wrestler and I was, but he was a good wrestler and I was just a good hardcore wrestler at that time. So it's like two completely different styles going at it.
Because you had two matches. First one was for his Australian Championship, which was actually your first loss in the new WZWA. Which was just a straight singles match, but then the rematch at Christmas Carnage was for the backyard title and a hardcore match, and it was a fucking good match too.
Didn't I bust his nose?
Yeah,
I accidentally kicked him in the nose by accident. Like in the first 5 minutes, and just blood started coming out. Oh, I remember as soon as I kicked him, I went up and I was like, "Oh, sorry," because because he was still this icon that I loved, and I was like, "He's gonna hate me." I just probably broke his nose or something. I was but
Did it mean a lot to you to have guys like Ice and Chaos put you over?
Oh, definitely. Most definitely. I felt so amazing going over those guys. Because, me being a hardcore wrestler, they were like gods to me that time.
Yeah.
SBWS were like, oh, that's what I want. I want to be known for my hardcore stuff. And I want to be known for being, just a a brutal wrestler, and I was like, going against them, it was extremely scary, and I remember them actually being, they were pretty stiff, Chaos more than Ice.
Yeah.
Chaos beat the shit out of me. He made sure, I knew who he was, and Ice was actually really quite safe, I thought. But it was awesome, because, like, it was so strange seeing their matches and seeing them beat the living shit out of each other, and then going against Ice, and then being so safe and caring in the ring.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, this is just great. And I felt that's when I first started feeling like, oh wow, I'm starting to make it in WZWA. I'm going over these guys who are massive.
Yeah.
Like, does that make me massive? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was just a whole new beginning, I thought.
And match of the year 2012, three-way Stairway to Hell match with Rex Regan and Kilowatt Chaos. Just a fucking, no pun intended, chaotic match. Just from start to finish, you guys didn't stop, and that's the prime example of a good hardcore match in backyard wrestling, is that you don't stop. Your spots don't take too long to set up. There's no dead air. It's just constant action, constant craziness from the from bell to bell. And your thoughts on that match, because that really set the bar fucking high, especially when we had one of our guys in the match set on fire.
Oh, I felt so bad for setting on fire, because the original plan was for me and Chris to get to that flaming table. We were meant to be fighting on the top rope, and then Chaos wanted to come over and push us off to the outside to the flaming table.
I'm glad it didn't happen that way, because I would be worried about your hair.
Terrible.
Dude.
Yeah, my hair did set on fire still, and it was
really?
just like if you see the video, like I go over and I instantly just roll off camera,
like shit,
hitting
really?
my hair.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because
fucking hell.
Yeah, it was brutal, but I think in the match the adrenaline was running, and me and Chris completely forgot, and we were like, let's fuck Chaos up with this table. Chaos sets it up, it come up, put him through it, double suplex, and that was insane. I remember after that happened, I was on the floor touching my hair, but hearing everyone, when I realized, I stopped cutting my hair, and I come to reality again, and everyone's losing their shit, and it was like, this is the greatest feeling. It's I'm part of the reason why everyone is just going off right now. They loved that, and I loved making that happen, and that match was my favorite match for so long.
Yeah.
It was just so fun, because like it all looked brutal, but it was all still safe. I love working with Chris and Chaos. They're awesome opponents to face. But I was really afraid in that match, because I hate triple threats. I think they have so much potential to be a clusterfuck, and it's scary. But I reckon he pulled it off pretty well. I mean, he clearly did match of the year. That was awesome.
So. Yeah, and it was awesome, dude, and props to you three for that great match. But we did run into a little bit of trouble after the match, and there was a bit of heat for a little while there, because I think I was a bit angry at what Rex did after the match. I had never told him to attack you after the match and walk off with the backyard title.
It was stupid.
And it pissed me off. Yeah. And it seemed like every time Chris was losing a match, he would beat up the referee. He would do something so he could walk out of it looking better than he did after he got pinned. And he always did things that I never told him to do, and it pissed me off. And you got pissed off because you realised there's no feud between you two, and he's just laid you out after the match and walked off with the belt.
That ruined my feeling.
How do you explain it?
It ruined my feeling of I just won this insane triple threat hardcore match, and then he just ruined it for me. Like I felt awesome. I got up, I was celebrating. I was like, holy shit! I just came on top on this insane match, and then he just lays me out, and I'm like, well, now I look like a dickhead, and he looks powerful.
And he's just walked off with the belt, and it's like, you're not in a feud, so how do we explain when Antillicus got the belt back from him? So I got shitty at him over that, and that's when he was having a real hard time with me, because I think then he went on to lose to Big Red, and he had to prove himself again because he was in the doghouse big time. But 2012 Rex Regan is nothing like 2016 Rex Regan. Just want to make sure that I reiterate that, because I know he likes to listen to the podcast, but they're two different people when you look back. Wanting to form a tag team with Brian Lowe towards the end of 2012, why was that?
Because of that instant click we had of being best friends, we loved it, and his all-time favorite wrestlers were also DX. It was like everything we loved in wrestling was the exact same.
Yeah,
we were the same wrestler at that point in time, and we were like, we should be a tag team, because we used to talk 24/7.
Yeah.
Like, we were just really just fucking gay best friends.
Yeah.
Like, we would fucking
See, I never had
verbally
that. I
suck
never had
each
that.
other
You know,
off.
the gay best friend. You know, like we hang out and we love each other so much that it's almost gay.
But then again, we were, we're complete dickheads,
Yeah.
Our compliments were insults, like, oh, you fucking dickhead, oh, thanks, man. It's like, it was stupid, and I thought it was awesome, because I loved his wrestling, and he loved mine, and we always talked about being in a tag team, similar with what I had with Acid.
Yeah.
Talk about what moves we'd do, how we'd be, and he's like, the WZWA doesn't have a team like DX, like, you had, with Johnny V, just the dickhead pair, just, and we wanted to be that, and we were like, let's just be, you be Shawn Michaels, I'll be the Triple H, we'll just be a fucking awesome tag team.
Yeah, and it made sense because, Low was getting the push, from day one when I took over, I always said Low's going to be the top babyface, so I'm going to make sure that he's my pet project and I make him. And you're also my other pet project, so to put you two together made all the sense.
It all just worked perfectly. I was Blackout champion, he was the world champion, and it was like, first we had that idea of being the DX kind of tag team, and then we actually started and we realised, like, we're better than this. We could be more than just a stupid humorous tag team.
You
we
don't
could
have
be
to
serious.
emulate someone, you can
Exactly,
be the first version of you guys, not the second version of something else.
And then we came up with the Rebellion, which didn't make much sense at that time because there's no one to rebel against.
Well, I mean, the Elite Alliance thing had started as you guys got together. It was by circumstance that you guys actually... I'll have to remind you of some things that you might not have got.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, like the whole idea was, the Elite Alliance was taking over. We were doing our feud with Dan Zeppelin at the time. You guys were also feuding with us because we offered you to be in the Elite Alliance. You got to have your first promo in the ring with me and Alex Stone, your first real live promo. Was that daunting for you?
Oh, it was terrifying. I mean, promos are still daunting for me, It's always been terrifying because I can go out there and I can put on a match and it'll be alright. But I go in there on the mic and I go up, and as soon as I start speaking, everything I've been over my head just disappears.
And it doesn't help when people are heckling.
Exactly, the heckling makes it so much harder.
Yeah.
Chris. No, it was terrifying, but it was awesome as well. Like, my first promo was of two big dogs, Aston and Alex Stone.
Yeah.
I've got to make this a bit of a deal. Yeah. And I think I was a bit successful.
It was awesome. And it was a good way to really get your character over as well. So the feud with the Elite Alliance begins because after Christmas Carnage, we offer you a second time to join the Elite Alliance after you said no to us at Revenge, but we asked you to think about it for a month. During that same show, we also beat up Brian Lowe because he challenged me for the title, etc. So the Rebellion is formed, pretty much through circumstance of both being, attacked by Alex Stone and Aston Crew. So at this point now you're thinking, holy shit, I've just had these great matches and title defenses against the likes of Chaos, Ice, Mykonos, these big guys that have actually put me over, and now...
That was against a champion. You were champion at the time, weren't you?
Sorry?
You were champion at the time, weren't you? Or was it...
Yeah, I just won the belt just before this feud began. And so, you've gone through those guys as the backyard champion. Now, all of a sudden, you are number 1 and number 2 babyface with Brian Lowe in the whole federation within the space of 6 months. Now, heading into Resolution 1, you're taking on Alex Stone for the backyard title and your tag partners against me in the main event. All of a sudden, you're in the second most important match of the biggest show of all time.
Is that feeling before, I fired up the feeling, people saying I was good and I wanted to get better, and the fact I was one of the main baby faces against, two of the top heels, was like, holy shit, like, I made it, like, I have worked my way to the top, and it was just such a great feeling being in that feud. That was one of my most favourite feuds. Like, that made me most happy, I thought, at that time. I was like, I've moved up the ranks.
Honestly, it was magic, wasn't it?
It was
just fucking magic at the big, because me and Lowe had this one match in ICWS, and we had such great chemistry, and it was only his, third match ever. And everyone was like, holy shit, Lowe's actually really good.
He is.
And it's like, he and I just had this fucking awesome chemistry that day, whereas if he wrestled someone else that wasn't as experienced, the match might not go so well, but I saw so much promise in him. And, you know, I just thought that me and Alex against you two, it would help elevate you two. Because we were good on the microphone, we could do a lot of the talking, and maybe you guys could learn from us.
And we did, yeah. I thought we did.
Yeah. So, let's talk about working with Alex Stone in your first Resolution match, where you dropped the Backyard Championship to him. 14,000 views and climbing. I don't know why. I think maybe because it says in the description Extreme Rules. Maybe people at that time were searching Extreme Rules on YouTube and it just picked up. So when one person likes it, then the next person that searches Extreme Rules, because like 5 people have liked it, maybe at that time then another 25 people have it pop up in their YouTube feed. So I think it just gained momentum like that.
And that was my first match with Alex, and I was kind of terrified going to that. But there was a few dead spots, but I thought we had pretty good chemistry, and you had good chemistry of, Low.
Yeah.
And it all just made sense. It all just came together quite perfectly, and I thought it was awesome. I really loved that match. Definitely one of my favorite matches. And then the second match I had of Alex wasn't as good. I thought that was quite disappointing, unfortunately. But
are you talking about the one that came December 2014?
I think so.
The one that was
I've only had
like
two
the second
singles
last
matches.
match, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I thought that was a fucking good match, I think you are your biggest critic, to be honest. I will say that. You're very harsh on yourself, but then again, so am I. So anyway, Resolution was an awesome show. Dan Zeppelin joins the Elite Alliance. Now it's 3 against 2. We move on from there to... sorry, where are we? Aftershock. Ryan Tate joins the Rebellion. Is that
temporarily?
Correct? Temporarily? Is that correct? And I believe on this show, yes, Low wrestled Dan Zeppelin, and Antillicus, you faced me.
Yep.
And you're the first person to get a pinfall victory over Aston Crude since he's been in the WZWA. So you go from hitting Chaos, Ice... Oh man, Rex must have been fuming.
Exactly, man. It was just like constant steps up. I was like, I can't get much more bigger than I am now. Like in my opinion, I was like, I probably don't deserve to be much bigger than I am now. And then all of a sudden, I'm going over against you, and it's like, holy fucking shit! What do these guys like? These guys are seeing something awesome in me, and it's like I'm loving it. I'm loving all of it.
Playing a fucking joke on you to see how much I could shock you with. Oh, you're beating me this event. What? What else are you gonna give me? Have I really deserved this? But yeah, I thought we had a fucking great match.
Yeah, we did.
But it was just a taste, a taste of what we could do. Which is always, the good thing when you're having a long-standing feud. There's going to be rematches at some point, so I always thought that was fucking dope.
Yeah,
and I was happy to lose to you.
Yeah.
So from there, during that show, Rebellion has a new member in Ryan Tate, and also Lila, as she's already with Ryan Tate as a manager. What did you think of the stable version of the Rebellion, despite the fact it only lasted maybe 4 shows or something like that?
Honestly, my first opinion on that, I wasn't too happy because I wanted Rebellion to be a tag team and only a tag team forever. And then all of a sudden, Ryan, who we weren't that close at the time. We were just acquaintances, We knew of each other. We didn't really have many conversations. We weren't that close as friends or anything. And he was in a tag team. At first, I wasn't too happy, but after a while, It
was alright.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool.
Because I had a general idea of what 2013 was to be. It was, in my mind, the theme of it was stable wars. So you'd have a little stable with a Rebellion. You'd have the Elite Alliance, you'd have the Black Carnival, all these different fucking groupings, the franchises there, etc. There's all these groupings of different teams and all that, and I wanted there to be 3 big stables. The Rebellion stable obviously didn't last too long, but that was my idea for the year. But I don't think it was ever going to be a long-term thing with Ryan being involved. It was just a way of telling that story of, those guys from the Rebellion. You can't trust anyone but yourselves. Yeah,
and it showed that the Alliance are powerful as well. In the fact, even our own team were turning against us to join this team that we
could
were
actually
feuding.
convince someone that was joined with you to turn, and then we got Lila to turn at the
Yeah,
show after
it's
that.
just like, holy shit.
So fucking
Yeah.
good, right? And what I loved about this feud with the Elite Alliance and the Rebellion was we kept doing things that no one was expecting. So every single show, something big happened. Like a Ryan Tate turning heel, like a Lila turning heel, like Dan Zeppelin joining the Elite Alliance, like Ryan Tate joining the Rebellion. Like every show, something monumental was happening, and I think that's why that it got feud of the year.
Yeah, definitely.
So the next thing I wanted to talk about was your big time death match with Dan Zeppelin at Hard Time 2. I don't know which day. Day 2. I've got a helping hand here with me today just to help me with the facts. What happened with day 1? Oh, yeah, of course. Okay, yeah. Hard Time 2, day 1, actually, before we get to Dan Zeppelin. You wrestle low in this match where the winner faces myself in the main event. You guys had pitched to me that you wanted to wrestle each other.
Yeah,
You wanted to have a match.
Yeah, because we'd only really, wrestled with each other. We hadn't had a proper match against each other since, the what are they called? The trampoline days. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And it was like, it would be awesome. We're both similar wrestlers. We thought that we'd have the greatest chemistry. It didn't. We had also that match. We had
I think the problem was you guys were trying to do too much.
Yeah, exactly. We had much higher expectations than what was going to happen. And the ending to that match, we thought that would be such an awesome moment for WZWA, and it just turned out to be just such a letdown for everyone.
I remember there was a lot of arguing going on because people said it wasn't a very good finish. People said didn't make sense. Why would you fight that long and then just decide to let him beat you?
Yeah,
I think people were heated about it. They didn't like it.
I think if that match didn't go as long, or it wasn't as many spots in it, that it would have been a lot easier to accept. But because it was,
I think the story needed to be told.
Yeah,
that you're at this point, he's at that point, and you're just like
he deserves it more.
You deserve it more, kind of thing.
Exactly. But we just put each other through too much in that match.
Yeah, and what had happened was that you had laid him out completely. So it wasn't that he'd really earned it. You'd really actually just beaten him, but then you decided to let him beat you, even though you had actually earned it. So I think the story you were trying to tell was lost in translation.
It was definitely lost.
But that's all right.
One of my least favorite matches because of that. I mean, it was an awesome match. It was really good fun.
And that's why I want to do. That's why I still keep giving him chances to this day. We'll get to it later on, but I want to keep giving him chances because I want to see that match. I want to see the actual what you guys can do against one another, because I think it'd mean a lot, not only to you, but it'd be a good swan song.
Yeah,
I guess you could say for Brian Lowe. So I want to talk about your big time death match at Hard Time 2 Day 2 against Dan Zeppelin. I believe this might have been runner up for match of the year.
Yeah,
I can't quite remember. But it was a hell of a battle, and the introduction of light tubes into the war zone. I want you to explain the planning of the match, how you feel it went, Dan Zeppelin as an opponent. While you do that, I'm going to grab a couple of cold beers.
Alright. Well, that match, that was probably my all-time favourite match, being in that match, because I was always keen to get more and more hardcore at that point. I think I was really going off that hardcore point in my career, that I wanted to be the hardcore person. I want people to look at WZWA's hardcore days and go, Antillicus, he was the hardcore one, and I thought that match with Dan Zeppelin was my shot to solidify that.
Yeah.
And I think it did. That we had great hardcore chemistry, because you do, like you mentioned before, there's a lot of hardcore matches where there's a lot of dead spots.
Yeah.
And there was like a few small dead spots in that match, but we picked it up and we turned into something else quickly, and
I think a lot of it, I think the only real dead spots was when they was trying to tie the light tube to your back to superplex you, and then I had to get up there to show them what to do. Just wrap the tape around his whole body. Don't just put it on him. It's not going to stick. Put it around him.
Yeah.
Stick it to him like that.
And
it was an amazing match. It reminded me of that fucking Stairway to Hell match, because it was constant, just one after another, boom, boom, boom.
And some people didn't agree with it, but I loved the idea of bringing light tubes in, because I was a massive fan of CZW. Yeah, CZW. I thought all that shit was crazy, and I'm like, oh, you know, back then, not anymore. Back then, I was like, oh, I want to be like that. I want to do that kind of stupid, crazy shit and be known for it. And light tubes was like, that's my opportunity to do so. That and barbed wire. So I was like, you know, this match is huge to me. I'm going against the Cannibal, you know.
Yeah.
And we had just much greater chemistry than I could have ever imagined in that kind of match.
Yeah.
And I thought we introduced light tubes extremely well.
Agreed. It was good, but see, you know what the problem was?
Then it got too used, so people wanted to be
the
that
problem
as well.
was everyone was like, oh, well maybe I can do that too, and then I'll look hardcore. So everyone wanted to do bloody light tubes, and I had to get in the fucking ring after every match and sweep all the fucking tubes out, so that me and Mitch didn't fucking, in our normal singles matches, didn't keep getting caught on fucking glass and shit. But you know, I still think they had a place that year. I don't think in 2015 they're really necessary. It's been overused, it's been overdone. It needs to be special again, and we'll use them for the bigger shows, I think. But they got to be done in a more creative capacity, not just fucking hit them over. You know, let's like make something out of it. Let's make a fucking light tube table or something like that. You know?
And another thing with planning with Dan Zeppelin, I thought planning with Dan Zeppelin was. It was so great because he was so open to all of my ideas. You know, if he didn't really like it, he's like. He wouldn't be like, oh, we're just not doing that. He would just put a little spin on it and be like, oh, how about we do this as well to make it a little bit better, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we'll experiment with our shitty ideas and make them good ideas. And we were both like that. We were both open to all ideas. And I think it was because of that match was pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, and I agree. It was just totally...
And when he said that he wanted me to smash the first light tube over him,
yeah,
that was like, holy shit.
And that's always in the highlight reels, that moment, because I think he swings it at you, you kick him in the gut, take it off him, and straight away the first thing that you do in the match
is fuck him up with the light tube.
It just sets the scene.
Exactly.
This is what we're going to be going through here. You know, this is where the Elite Alliance versus the Rebellion has got to at this point.
Yeah, it felt awesome for coming out with the barbed wire bat.
Yeah,
it's like this is just as hardcore as I wanted.
Yeah. An awesome match. Dan Zeppelin picked up the victory, so you couldn't add another notch onto your belt there, unfortunately. But it was someone else's turn to get a win over you. Same day, Hard Time 2. I think it's the same day. You witnessed your friend Brian Lowe becoming the WZWA Heavyweight Champion. Was that day one? Okay, it was day one. Sorry. So, day one... the prior week, actually. So you got to witness your friend ascend to the top so quickly. You know, how did that feel for you to see your best friend through all the adversity and people thinking that, you know, it was maybe someone else's turn or whatever? No, I thought Brian Lowe deserved to have the opportunity to be like the Mikey Whipwreck of the WZWA, that underdog that no one ever thought would ever become champion. So how did it feel to see your friend accomplish that?
It was fucking great. It was such a satisfying moment. I think even in my career, seeing that happen, because you know, me and Lo were best friends and we were a tag team. We made it together. So it was like him winning the championship. I was just as happy as I would have been if I won the championship. You know, it was like
a team effort.
Exactly.
Really.
It was so great.
Because I tell you what, if things were falling flat and the matches weren't good and the Rebellion weren't doing a good job, then it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
But because you guys were doing a good job as a collective, that's when he got that opportunity. And I was very proud of him because he really, really worked hard on cutting promos. He was doing his best. So as the year wore on, the feud with the AA was coming to an end. Thoughts on Ryan Tate and Lila leaving the Rebellion and joining the Elite Alliance in that first War Games match?
I love that match. Again, one of my.
I think it's
matches.
the only real good War Games match that we've had. I don't think the one that happened the year after was very good. It was a mess, but great match. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a really great story. I thought. Yeah. And again, back to Ryan and Lily turning on us. I was a bit disappointed because I decided liking having Ryan and Lily in the Rebellion. But then again, that feeling of wanting to just be a tag team in Rebellion, that was still there. So I was still a little happy that happened.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Cool. What do you think of the backlash we were getting from people? This feud's going too long.
At first I was like, just shut up. It's going to be good. But then after a while, even I started to think it was dragging a little bit. To be honest,
I think what was happening is because Dan turned. Well, then Antillicus and Lowe both have to wrestle Dan now.
Is that the same thing that's happened again, but with other people, and then like Ryan and Dan now?
The issue with me and you kind of wasn't over yet after I had lost the title to Brian Lowe, so you and I still had to have another match.
Yeah.
And then Ryan turned on you, so then we got to do that as well. Ryan's got to do his thing with Lowe, and then he's got to do a thing with you. So it was going a long time, but that was just because of the circumstances, because, can't have them turn on you and then not, go forth with having a battle to, a war to settle the score, I guess you could say. So I wanted to briefly talk about the Circus of Pain match between yourself and me, 4 corners of barbed wire. We probably should have bought more barbed wire, because when you watch the match you can't tell that there's barbed wire on the turnbuckles, but still, you got a clean victory over me a second time there, and I think that went down as one of the best matches that I've ever been in, and my favourite part is the fall-away slam onto the barbed wire chair.
That was awesome.
And seeing your shirt get caught on it as you're, on the ground in pain. And also the top rope elbow drop holding the light tube, which winded the fuck out of you.
The absolute fuck out of me. I thought I'd have to stop the match after that. I was like, I can't breathe. I think I've just shattered like a rib or something.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm really and truly fucked. Yeah.
But we still completed the match. So what did you think of that match in particular? Because I thought it was one of the bigger moments in your 2013.
Yeah, it definitely was, because that was after the light tubes had been introduced, and that was when me and Lo were starting to think, not many people are using barbed wire that much. The rebellion, we got that, the fist symbol, and then Luke's brought out the symbol of the fist being wrapped in barbed wire. Yeah. And I'm like, we should make barbed wire the rebellion's thing, kind of thing. So that kind of match was really satisfying as well, because that gave me a chance to show that I could use barbed wire to my advantage to beat someone as of the likes of Aston Crude. And I loved that match. I thought we had some pretty awesome chemistry in that match.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. It's like the magic with you was the same as the one with Lowe's, the same as the one with Mitch. I immediately feel it and feel the chemistry in the ring, and I just thought it was one of the top matches of the year.
I think a massive thing with that as well, like being a top match, is because we were just committed to everything. You did the snake eyes and that slam. We did a lot with the barbed wire that a lot of other people wouldn't even dream of doing.
I think I don't know what I had you up in something. You fell down off it, pushed me into the turnbuckle like alive with barbed wire. Turn around to the Antillicus. Good finish to the match. Yeah. What do Aston, Alex Stone and Dan Zeppelin mean to the development of the hardcore superstar?
You guys had such a pivotal role, I think, in my my little backyard wrestling career, and making me the hardcore superstar, and making me the champion. And I think if it wasn't for you guys kind of schooling us at that point, it wouldn't have happened. It probably wouldn't be as big as I am now if that feud didn't happen. That feud really solidified my character at that time, and I thought you guys were awesome, because the rock star Alex Stone, and I'm coming out trying to be a rock star as well, and it was like I loved his character. He had this such amazing charisma that I really that I wanted to have, and just everything about that. Dan Zeppelin had the hardcore side that I loved. You had the technical wrestling. Alex had the charisma. It was like you three as a team is everything I wanted to be as a single wrestler. Yeah. And I just learned off you guys, and I don't think if it wasn't for that feud, I definitely wouldn't be who I am as a wrestler today.
Yeah. We'll slowly get towards the end of part 1 here, but before we get to our first break, I wanted to talk about something. I don't know what happened, but something happened, and you took some time away from WZWA. I think it was about 2 months, and you kept saying you were quitting, and you were nearly impossible to talk to or get through to. What happened?
I had really bad personal problems at that point in time. I was in a really, really bad place. I was getting counselling multiple times a week. I just wasn't with it, and I lost all enthusiasm for everything positive in my life. I stopped drumming. I stopped caring about music. I stopped trying in school. I stopped loving wrestling. I felt like WZWA was starting to become a chore, and it's just everything was just crashing down in this big downward spiral, and I just thought I couldn't do it anymore. I didn't have the energy to do it anymore, and it sucked. It really sucked losing that passion for everything. Like it wasn't just WZWA. I was quitting everything that I loved.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just that. It wasn't anything against you guys. It was just me and where I was at that point of time because of some fucking.
Something set you off in the thread. I don't know if it was the situation of the antics that took place on the trampoline one night after a show, with the didn't you?
Oh,
Didn't you? Okay, let's just say you had a root on the trampoline.
Yeah,
and there was a bit of issues there, in which I think led to a bigger argument.
Oh no, that had nothing to do with the bigger argument. That was no, not at all. That was just Jack saying, "Don't disrespect my property," because I also fucked her in his lounge room as well.
Fucking hell.
And yeah, fucking go me. No, but seriously though, Jack hated that, which is understandable, and it was definitely a dick move on my behalf. I didn't respect his property. Jack understood that. It took me a while to understand that, but then again, me being in that bad place at that time, all this fucking controversy it was all just happening all at once. It was all coming together at similar times, kind of thing. Like, I just started just not giving a fuck about what anyone had to say.
And I was trying so hard to get you back to just to talk to the Jacob that I knew, but that Jacob hadn't shown himself for a little while.
Honestly, even
I was giving you pep talks, and I was giving you these long messages. You can't just leave now. You're at the height of where you were at. Like you just beat me cleanly. Like you just got to that height.
That must have pissed you off.
I did, because I was like, fucking hell. Like I just
give me all
did
that
him
shit,
the ultimate favour of beating me clean when no one really got to, except for like Low at that stage. So it really upset me, because I thought I'd really invested a lot of time in you, and I thought all of this work for this last year might have just gone down the toilet.
It wasn't just with WZWA though. Like it was having like with
it was just everything
with the family especially.
Gotcha.
Like I remember having a conversation with my mum a couple of months after I was back to my usual self, and Mum was telling me, she even started crying, and she was like, "I thought I'd lost you for good," And it's thinking back on it, it's like I was so blinded, just by myself, that I'd lost connections with, WZWA, my friends from school, and even my fucking family, man. Like they all hated me. I had no one who loved me at that point in time.
Yeah.
And I just didn't want to do anything anymore.
And that's pretty heavy, and I'm not gonna say anyone's names, but I know there's someone out there right now who's going through something similar, and I'm doing my best to get them back as well. Alright, well, look, on that sad note...
Let's not end on a sad note.
I'll ask you one more thing, and then we'll go to a break. You came back at Frostbite and won a triple threat match for the backyard title against Alex and Ryan, and dropped it back to Ryan in a rematch at the following event at Hardcore Hell. The feud with the Elite Alliance is over. Your thoughts on working with Ryan, and also getting to hold the backyard title, even if it's just for 1 month?
Yeah, I thought it was great having the title again. It's just like that's under me now. I can say that I'm a 2-time backyard champion, and I was like, a 1-time backyard champion, but I'm a 2-time backyard champion, even if it was just for a month. I'm not sure if it was just for the storyline or
it was just to mix things up a bit. I think that show, too many heels were winning, and I wanted to surprise everyone, and I wanted everyone, because everyone probably thought that Brian was going to retain the title in that match. So I wanted to kind of trick everyone into believing that Ryan was just going to retain and that would be it, but then you end up winning by making Alex submit, which helps the storyline of Ryan and Alex, and their war of being, my number 2 guy in the Elite Alliance. So,
and that felt awesome as well. Like I don't think making someone submit in a match has such a bigger impact than just getting a pin.
Yeah,
that's them giving up to you. That isn't them just not being able to kick out. That's them saying, I don't want any more of this match with this guy. And, you know, having someone like The Rock star Alex Stone, one of my idols, you know, from backyard wrestling, tap out to me was a huge deal. Mm-hmm. It was a massive deal to me.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So what was it like working with Ryan? The kendo stick death match.
Oh, that was, again, one of my favourite matches. I thought that match was awesome. There's some pretty innovative things. That little kendo cube thing we did, I thought that was awesome. And, you know, after the EA feud, I got like a nice little taste of working with Ryan, and I loved it. I thought we had similar aggressive styles that I loved. And we had pretty good chemistry, I thought we had in that match. That kendo match was awesome. Really, really good fun. Yeah.
Well, you know, obviously we've talked about what the Elite Alliance and that feud means to you when looking back. It was a big part of your career in the early days of WZWA. And, pardon me, that chapter was closed finally after all those months. You know, that was nearly a year-long feud, and it won feud of the year. So at this time we'll take a break. All right. Thank you very much for part 1, Antillicus.
You're welcome.
And thank you for listening to the GBYWN Australia podcast. I am Aston Crude. We'll be with you for part 2 very shortly. Thank you.